Welcome to this presentation of the Rotary Club of North Bethesda, Maryland, USA. Our club was established in 1974. We meet every Friday morning at 7:45 a.m., and we often invite guest speakers to give presentations on all kinds of interesting subjects. Please contact us through our website at nbrotary.org. And thanks for watching.
Our speaker today is Cathy Higgins, who is volunteer coordinator with the Nourishing Bethesda group. I'm talking to Dan about this 2 years ago. Right. We were very active in loading up the bags, and Rob Follett was he showed up for all those, and moving all the food from St. John's Church in Bethesda over to the rescue squad, where they amazing 300 cars would line up and they would give out food. So they've changed that program somewhat. I think you're going to talk about that. She's currently the volunteer coordinator for Nourishing Bethesda, working on community partnerships and communication. She retired in 2021 as a federal senior executive with 36 years of service working on national security issues. Give us your perspective on that. Talk about balloons. Cathy and her husband Jim have lived in North Bethesda for over 30 years with two adult children. And am I right that you were involved with the Rotary Scholarship Program? Or?
No.
No, okay.
Not me.
Okay. Anyway, Cathy Higgins.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody, both here and online. I want to thank you guys for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and to thank you for your past support and your ongoing interest in the issue of food insecurity and the work of Nourishing Bethesda. It's through the efforts and generosity of so many in this community, like yourselves, that Nourishing Bethesda was able to stand up, sustain, develop, and grow. And we really welcome your ongoing engagement with us. So it's terrific. The work you did, as was referred to early on for us, the transportation was just really so important. And we appreciate it. So as was mentioned, our director, John Ross, spoke to you all back in June of 2021. And how many people had a chance to hear him speak back then? Several of you. Okay. And how many of you actually participated in that transportation effort? Awesome. Thank you. Well, for those who aren't familiar with the origin of Nourishing Bethesda, which is a big part of what John talked about, I'll give you just a very brief recap. And then we'll talk more about what's going on today and where we're headed in the future. So our director and founder, John Ross, he was in a very serious car accident in December of 2019 before the pandemic. He almost lost his life. And I'll never forget that day because my daughter, who was still living with us at the time, she was coming home and she got home and she was really shaken. And she said, I just saw the most horrible accident on Old Georgetown Road. She didn't see it happen, but it had just happened as she drove past. And she was so upset by what she saw. And we didn't know until like the next day that was John. So it's kind of personal for me. And we were fellow parishioners at St. John's Episcopal Church. So as he started to recover, he realized he sort of had a second lease on life, right? A second chance. And John, who's always been motivated to do good, was even more motivated to find ways to give back to the community as he recovered. And initially, as he was coming out of this, it was the start of the pandemic, and he started to do some things with St. John's Men's Group on helping first responders. But he wanted to do something bigger and more sustained and with impact in the community. And that's how the idea of Nourishing Bethesda came together. And he formed a coalition, a no judgment zone where we treat our clients with respect.
Oh.
And our clients are extremely grateful. And some of them, as they get back up on their feet, they've brought us food. They've made food prepared for the volunteers, or they've come back and volunteered themselves. So it's really rewarding when you see that, and you know how grateful people are. So I could quote you a bunch of statistics about food insecurity in our area. And I have some that I can share with you afterward if you like. But all you would have to do is come to one of our distributions and you would see that the need is real and the need is significant. There are still people who are very much struggling. They were before the pandemic and they continue to struggle now. So we have a disproportionate number of children who suffer from food insecurity. And another one of the most vulnerable populations here is senior citizens. And so while the COVID crisis, hopefully, is the worst of it is behind us, many of our neighbors are still struggling from the economic downturn that resulted from the pandemic. Of course, inflation has been fierce. The 2021 child tax credit has expired, and now SNAP benefits, you might know that as food stamps, SNAP benefits are being reduced. And there was an article in the Washington Post that talked about the effect that that's going to have, particularly on senior citizens. So the need is very real. So a little bit about what's new. I said that we went from a grab and go model, which is where people just drove through in their cars. We had everything set up in the parking lot at the BCC Rescue Squad, and we would put the food in their trunk or their back seat or whatever. We would wish them a happy, good weekend. This was on a Friday afternoon, and they would be on their way. But one of the things about our mission is we're still focused on food insecurity, but we've expanded our mission state. We really want to offer wraparound services that will help people really lead productive, stable lives. Because very often when you're suffering from food insecurity, that's not the only challenge that you're facing in life. You probably have multiple things that you're facing. So we really want to get to know our clients so that we can understand what are the challenges that they're facing and how we might help address that. Now, we're not going to be able to provide all those services ourselves, but we want to be able to link our clients to other organizations or other resources that could help them. And it's hard to get to know somebody when they're just driving through in their car. So last summer, we had an all-out effort to communicate with our clients that we were transitioning to this new model. We had to do that in multiple languages. Not everyone comes every week, so we really spent the whole summer trying to communicate to them. And in September, right after Labor Day, we moved to the new model. And it's been great. We pack all of the food, including the produce and everything, on Thursday nights at the Rescue Squad. And then we're all set to go with distributions on Thursday evening and throughout the whole day on Friday. And we'd like to be able to expand that. But we go from about 9 in the morning to about 7 in the evening on Friday. And Thursday evening as well. And so instead of just driving through, now clients have an appointment, so they're spread out over that time. They're able to park, come into the lobby of the Rescue Squad. We check them in. We purchase software that helps us manage our appointments and our clients. So they're registered with us. They have an appointment time. We're there every week, but they can come every other week to pick up food. We also used to let people pick up for as many other families as they could, as needed. So maybe they picked up for several families in their apartment building or in their neighborhood. Now we ask that they only pick up for one other family. Why? Again, because we want to get to know our clients. And it's great. I usually volunteer on Friday mornings. A lot of times I'm greeting clients and welcoming them. That's another thing. Like we said, we really want to have a welcoming, friendly, no judgment environment. And so now I recognize names and faces. How's your grandson doing? How's your back? We really getting to know people on a much more personal level. Some people standoffish. It takes time to earn people's trust, or they're very private. Some people are ashamed about having to come pick up food. But in general, people are grateful, and it's been fantastic. So let's see. We also still deliver food. So for those populations that are among the most vulnerable and who maybe couldn't make it to the Rescue Squad to pick up food, we deliver, and that's to 2 low-income senior housing apartment buildings where the residents generally are not able to get out themselves, and then to a permanent transitional housing facility in Bethesda for the formerly homeless, and to a men's shelter in Rockville. And so we deliver food every week to those locations. And that, again, is part of our commitment to reaching out to the most vulnerable in our community who, without this food, are really in very dire straits. And then as part of our effort to educate and build community, we started a newsletter that goes out just about once a month, every other month. And that's been really terrific in engaging sort of our volunteer and donor community. And that was fun to stand up. Anyone wants to sign up, I'm happy to sign you up to receive our newsletter. And we also conducted our first annual contract with Montgomery County government this year. Previously, a big portion of our budget was COVID emergency funding that came via the county. But that ended. But the county saw that there was a real need in this area and that wasn't being served by any other organization. Certainly there are other food banks and pantries and things like that around. But this was in our area was kind of an area that hadn't previously been served. And they were really impressed with our operation. They could see that we had really developed and professionalized and were a trusted partner for the county. So we were able to conclude a contract with them, which should be our first of many annual contracts with them for reimbursement for our expenses in terms of purchasing food and other things that we need to do our operation. So that is a significant part of our budget, though certainly by no means all of it. So we also continue to rely on the generosity of donors to make up the rest of our budget so that we can continue to operate. And then in December, another milestone for us, we had been operating as a nonprofit under the sort of umbrella of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. That's how we had, so we stood up very quickly. So that's how we had stood up under that. But we have now been created as our own 501c3 nonprofit. And the partnership with St. John's Episcopal Church and the diocese is still a really important partnership for us, but it does open up some opportunities. There are certain organizations that won't donate to a church organization or whatever. So it just gives us some flexibility. So I'd like to think that we retain the best of our affiliation with St. John's and the Episcopal Church, while still then being able to work with or receive donations from other organizations. So I'm going to give you a little bit of Nourishing Bethesda by the numbers. We just completed our 2022 annual impact statement. And so we did change our model a little bit. So these numbers are a monthly average number. And so on average in 2022, each month, we provided 37,000 pounds of food to our clients. And that would be more than 5,100 individuals in a month. Some of those are repeats, right? It's not 5,100 unique individuals, but 5,100 times in 1,500 households. And all of those are a little conservative numbers. And so what we're giving out is about 9 pounds of produce, so a nice big bag of fresh produce. Peppers, bananas, cabbage, potatoes, onions, tomatoes, depends on the time of year and what we can offer. 8 pounds of shelf-stable food, so canned fruits and vegetables, pasta, rice, beans, that kind of thing. And then 2 pounds of protein, usually eggs, although I'll talk a little bit about the challenge that we're facing with that now. Sometimes it'll be ground turkey. And then at holiday time, we've been fortunate that we've had sponsors. So at Thanksgiving, we were able to give out chickens, which are actually more popular than turkeys. Not every culture is turkey oriented, right? Pies, fixings for a whole Thanksgiving meal. But those are sort of special. What I'm talking about is kind of the more ins and outs. And then we contribute to Montgomery County's goals to reduce food waste. We recover more than 2,000 pounds of food last year that otherwise would have ended up in landfills. And if you go out there and read, it's amazing. With all the food that gets thrown away, we could feed everybody. No one would go hungry. It's also not great for the environment, all of that food in the landfill. So, and then we recently had a survey done by Deloitte. They've been doing some pro bono work with us and developing sort of a business plan, a model for our operations. And they also came by and did some survey work for us. One of the things we wanted to find out was what services our clients were most interested in having. And then we also discovered that 89% of the households that are coming to receive food from us have an annual income of $40,000 or less. So about a third of our clients are children. And remember earlier I said that children are disproportionately affected by food insecurity. Nearly 1/4 are seniors. So that's a big percentage of who we are serving is children and seniors. About 2/3 of the clients come either in their car, by bus, or on foot to the rescue squad to pick up their food. And the remaining 1/3 are those who we deliver to. And that is, as I mentioned, the low-income senior housing and the shelter and the permanent transitional housing. Right now, looking at the most recent statistics coming in, I would say half or nearly half of the people who come to get food or who we deliver to are living in Bethesda, Chevy Chase zip codes. So we are serving people right here in the community. And the remainder is made up mostly of Silver Spring, Wheaton, and Rockville. And we're trying to determine this. We're going to ask clients about this, but we suspect that a lot of those people work in the Bethesda area. So maybe they're tradespeople, or they're working in restaurants, or cleaning hotel rooms, or cleaning homes. We used to see a lot of people come by in their maid truck, right? They had all their cleaning equipment in the back. Or we always used to see a florist delivery man. So it was the guy who was hired to deliver the flowers, and he would come through and pick up his food. So that kind of gives you a sense of population that we're serving. And it can be very heartbreaking. People who are ill, people who are injured, people who have family members who are suffering from mental illness or are homeless. It is, as I said, you can quote all the statistics you want about food insecurity, but when you see the folks who come in, you realize that the need is real. So I wanted to talk a little bit about volunteers and partners that we have. It really continues to be a hallmark of Nourishing Bethesda that we want to bring people in the community together in common cause. We're not doing this alone, and nor do we want to be. There are so many in this area who have a desire to do good. We have a relatively affluent population. We have a big percentage of residents who are retired, who have time and the means to give back, and they're eager to do so. And so, we're proud to be able to offer a lot of volunteer opportunities, both for individuals and for groups. So we continue to sign people up to work on packing and distribution of food, as well as delivery of food to the offsite locations. We need drivers for that. And then we also have a way for community groups to get involved if they want to do that as a group. So we have designated the third Thursday of every month for a group packing night. And so we have a group come in. We have had quite a few different groups come, schools, scouts, civic groups, you name it, all kinds of groups have come in, and they do the packing for us that night. So we set everything up. We have all the food, the bags, the bagels. We get bagels from Bethesda Bagels. Again, food that's recovered that would otherwise go in the landfill, but still perfectly good. It's just an overage that they have, and we're able to offer that to our clients. Very popular, much better than the bread we give out. And so they pack all that up, and it's really fun. We play music, everyone has a good time. When it's kids who come, students, we know that we're helping instill, an appreciation for service, and they have so much energy, and they just love it. It's like a game for them, running around and filling the bags, and they have a really great time. But they're also learning something, because we also make sure that we always spend some time talking about food insecurity and the challenges, and then what they're doing and the result of what they're doing and how it will be used. So it's not just a game. In addition to our third Thursday packing that happens at the rescue squad, we also offer opportunities for groups to do a service event that is at the time and place of their convenience. So one of my favorites is groups can pack snack bags. It can be a brown paper lunch bag and fill it with granola bars, some fruit leather, some raisins, some goldfish or pretzels, relatively healthy snacks, maybe a piece of candy in there, and then write a note of encouragement, to our clients. So we had the Whitman High School crew team did that and just wrote all the loveliest little pictures and notes that they tucked in each bag. And then that's just a little bonus that we give to our clients. And so any group can do that, on their own. We've just started working with Howard Hughes Medical Institute. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a nonprofit promoting science and science education. And they're headquartered in Chevy Chase. They're going to pack 2,500 red beans and rice meals for us. So get all their employees together in their big atrium and put those together and then donate those to us. So again, an extra that will greatly be appreciated by our clients. The Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, came and put together Thanksgiving meals for us, for our clients, big tinfoil pan, sweet potatoes, canned stuffing, canned green beans, everything. And that were chickens that were donated by Simply Fresh Catering and pies. Sunrise Senior Living Center did a coat drive for us, and they donate reusable bags. Because a lot of our clients will come on the bus and they've got to try to pack everything up and take it with them. And sometimes they don't have a great bag or their bag breaks. So we've got that to offer. The Chamber of Commerce here in Bethesda did a hat, scarf, mitten, and glove drive for us, and also gave out giant gift cards that we could give to clients at Christmas time to add a little something to their Christmas feast. And if I don't know if you're familiar with Giant, has a program called Blooming for Good. So in March, I realize that Valentine's Day will be gone, but if you have someone special you want to buy flowers for, go to the Arlington Road Giant in March. And for every bouquet purchase, they're going to donate $1 to Nourishing Bethesda. So, these are all things that a couple years ago, when John came to speak to you, we weren't ready to do. We were still just focused on that grab and go and trying to get that together. But we really have developed, and expanded and able to involve more and more groups in the community. And that's really what it's about, right? We want to have this to be a common cause. I said I would speak about some of the challenges. So inflation in general, if you've been to the grocery store or you're reading the news, you know that inflation has skyrocketed. And so that affects our costs. But we cannot, for our dollar, purchase as much food as we used to, which means we need to do more fundraising. Egg prices. Like I said, we were really committed to providing eggs as a source of healthy protein, and they are extremely popular. At one of the low-income senior housing apartment complexes, a lot of the residents there, English is not their first language. They may not have much English at all. There is a woman who speaks no English, but when the cars arrive, she immediately comes downstairs. The one word we think she knows in English is eggs. And she says, eggs, eggs, eggs. So we had been relying on a donor who had been sort of underwriting all of our egg donations, but now at $5 a carton. And after having done this for a long time, that donor is no longer able to sponsor our egg program. So we really hope to be able to continue to provide eggs. And so we are looking for additional sponsors, donors to help us keep that egg train going. We're going to have an egg extravaganza or something to try to keep those eggs coming. And then space. We have a fabulous partnership with the Rescue Squad. They have been so good to us. But we are space constrained there. And as we try to do more, we need to be able to soar more and operate more and all of that. So we don't have a solution yet, but we are looking at various options for the future that might give us additional space in order to do our operations. So future plans, as I mentioned, we really want to work on wraparound services. Deloitte did that survey to help us understand what some of the needs are. And so we're putting together a group to look at that more carefully. In the meantime, we're already putting out gently used children's books to promote literacy so that families who might not otherwise have books at home can take some books home with them. We've been partnering with a wider circle who has given us, they get so many donations, they really have excess. So they're looking for partners who can take some of it off their hands. So we were able to take home 9 bins of clothing for infants and toddlers, and we've given away almost all of that already in the last couple of weeks, so we'll try to do more of that. But again, the needs are great. We're also partnering with the county. They have a system called Navigator. They're going to send out someone who is a navigator for them, comes with a computer and a printer, and has access to every program that the county offers to assist its residents. And so he's going to try to get to know people, earn their trust, have them sit down and say, hey, if you haven't applied for SNAP benefits, let me help you do that. Oh, you did apply for SNAP, but you haven't heard back? Oh, that's because there's one thing that you were still needed to submit that you haven't submitted yet. Let me help you get that done. So we're really looking forward to having the navigator come out and work with us and help bridge that gap to our clients to get them connected with county services that already exist to help people just like them. I talked about space. Part of the reason that's a constraint is we'd like to be able to move to being a choice pantry. So rather than predetermining what each client gets, this is your bag, take it or leave it, that we would be able to let them come in and sort of shop, right? They would be a limit on how much food they could take, but then they could take foods that are right for their family, appropriate for their culture, appropriate for their health condition, right? Maybe they have diabetes or hypertension or whatever it may be. It allows them to customize, and it's also a way to give people dignity. Like I said, it's hard to come ask for food. And so that is one of our longer term goals. And then we're also in the process of acquiring some new software that'll help us better manage our volunteers and be more effective in our fundraising and reaching out to donors and all of that. So, so just to wrap up, I wanted, say, how can you contribute to greater food security in our area? Well, obviously volunteer if you can. We'd be happy to talk to people about how we might be able to incorporate some of your members in our volunteer efforts. You can always donate. If you would like to sponsor something special for clients at some point during the year, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. But the thing that's free and requires, the least amount of effort maybe is to educate yourself on food insecurity and help be an advocate for addressing this need in the county and for groups like Nourishing Bethesda and other good groups who are doing important work in this, on this cause in the county. So that's really kind of what I had to tell you today. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Lots of questions. Yes, Dave.
We had a member who was the giant manager.
Giant Bethesda.
Yeah. And he was involved with you folks. Okay. So I
Virginia.
We did.
So my suggestion is contact them.
Right.
See how they can help.
Get overflow from drying or whatever, instead of them throwing it out.
Yes. Well, we're definitely into food recovery where we can be. Yeah.
I have a question if I could, the president, I can ask.
Sure.
What about involving the clients, as you call them, in their own endeavor? In other words, why not make them volunteers in the process? In other words, can't they come and pack and on a Thursday night? Maybe not all of them, if they're not if they're kids.
Most of them have come back at volunteers.
I don't mean come back, maybe as they're the ones asking for the food, but may they also be involved with the volunteer activity of packing the food up and putting it in the bag, preparing it for the day of the distribution, when they themselves are the recipient, but they can also be part of the help.
So a lot of them have jobs or have children or have health issues that might preclude them from doing that. Like I said, some of them do volunteer with us. For instance, we have an Afghan, I won't say refugee, came from Afghanistan. He had been a major in the Air Force. He worked very closely with Americans. He had to flee without his family. He's been trying to get his family to come back, and he has come back to volunteer with us, as well as being a recipient. But also, I tell you, our clients would have to elbow out of the way all of the people who want to volunteer for Thursday night packing. We turn away people constantly, and I could fill every Thursday night with groups who wanted to come volunteer with us. So we don't have a shortage of volunteers. But
Evan?
The question was, how many volunteers do you have?
So I think we estimated that we had more than 475 volunteers donate more than 10,000 hours last year. So I think in my newsletter, probably at least 600 people that we classify as volunteers who received the newsletter, which means at least once they came and volunteered with us and got on our mailing list. But we have some very faithful people who are there every week or several times a month.
Our last question, if I could ask,
Yes.
just a government question.
Had it starting.
My wife and I volunteer for Meals on Wheels to deliver the meals.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is there any coordination between
That's really an interesting question. So we had someone from Meals on Wheels just reached out to us, and we do list on our website other resources for food, because we're only giving people food every other week, right? They need to eat every day, right? We're not getting out enough food to last them 2 weeks. So we do try to refer them to other food banks, food pantries, other resources. So we're looking right now at adding information on Meals on Wheels to our website so that clients who would be eligible for that or interested in that.
Sean, our last question.
I actually have a request. It's really three. See, I always listen and I think of things and I put them on my fingers. First of all, thank you for your presentation. This was excellent. This is what we really need to hear. It's great to hearing that out. I don't know if you can fulfill a need. We have something at the district level. So as district governor, I manage our 104 Rotary clubs we have in Maryland and Washington, D.C. We have an event coming up in Bethesda in April. It's on a Friday, not on a Thursday. So I'm looking for volunteer folks that could actually do a meal prep for about 200 people. Last year, we ran it. Last year, we packed over 3,000 meals in an hour. So I don't know if that's something that you all would be doing, but we're doing it at Hyatt Regency in downtown Bethesda on a Friday. That would be something. The other one too, I'm looking for a speaker to do on meals insecurity that following Saturday. So that might, if you would be interested in the panel. And then the third thing I was noticing, you mentioned giving out books. I don't know if you know, but you could partner through this Rotary Club. We have another Rotary Club outside of Annapolis called Parole, and they organize the largest book distributor for free books within the Mid-Atlantic region. Matter of fact, they're now shipping out to Africa and to Asia for English-speaking books. They also specialize in interest, well, you said with Afghanistan, with different foreign languages too, so they could be all in Spanish for your children's books. But this club could easily sponsor those and help get you those free books that you're wanting to.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
So happy to talk to you afterward about those things. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Can you pass
Thank
out
you.
a business card? Did you?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
All right, we appreciate the talk, and it certainly elevates our consciousness about the problem in our own county. And I appreciate the work you're doing for the county and speaking at our club.
Thanks for the opportunity.